and welcome to Officers Adda 24/7. So this is a class of your most important questions. As you know that a few days left for your examination, so this is a time when you should get up your preparation. Okay, so let's start today's session. I hope everyone's connected like in this session. Okay, so before to proceed, just hit the like button and share this video to your friends and colleagues so that the maximum number of our bankers can join with us in this session. Okay, so before to proceed, if you're new on the Officers Adda 24/7, hit the subscribe button and download the Adda 24/7 application so that you can get everything at a one place, right? So quickly let's start the session. And before to start, because this is a month end offer and you will get the flat 80% off by the using this code, that is Y422. Okay, and you can use this code to any of the batches like the case study batch, like the selection batch, target batch. Okay, so there are so many batches that you can find in the Adda 24/7 store. Okay, so there you only have to use the code Y422 and you are going to get the flat 80% off. And today is the last day for just grabbing this opportunity. So just grab this opportunity. And if I say what is the importance of the case study batch, that you can understand now the level of the examination is slightly up. So for that you should have very strong with your basic concepts. And this study batch, that is just doing whatever that is required for clearing your examination. Okay, so this batch is available for the English medium as well as a bilingual batches. Okay, so the thing that what you have to do, you have to use the code that is Y422. Okay, at the selection batch, as you know that the few classes has been done but the more classes still remain, so you can just enroll for the selection batch also in the ebook, mock test, live classes, recorded classes, all things you are going to get in this selection batch. Okay, so quickly let's start today's session. Okay, so the question that is related to your calculation of the interest chapter, and you will definitely just going to get the questions from that. Just try to understand how you can just solve the question in the examination. The very first thing, that for solving any numerical in the examination, first write down all the information that is given into the question. Okay, suppose that the information that is given are some fast or total simple interest of this amount, that is 4,500. Okay, that means total simple interest amount is given, and we know that the simple interest formula, that is interest is equal to principal multiplication by the rate of interest multiplied with the time, and that should be divided by the 100. Okay, that we know that. Now we know that total simple interest that is given the 4,500, just write down here. And the principal that we have to calculate, because what is the sum that we have to calculate here, the rate of interest which is given the 9%, and the time period which is given the 5 years. And just write down in this way. Okay, so if I have to just solve here, so this would cancel out like this, and this would become your 10,000 principal. Okay, this is how we actually have to solve the questions in the examination. Now the very important thing I would like to tell you here, that whenever we are just going to solve the questions, like we have to put the values into the like any formulas. Okay, the thing that you always have to understand, that you always have to keep the parameter that is same. Okay, the same parameter you have to put into the formulas. Like this is a formula given, suppose that the 5, instead of the 5 years, there is a given the time period that is a 5 months. Okay, so now you can understand, because you are just considering the annual rate of interest, that is 9%. Okay, and this is for the 9% for per annum. Now we are talking about the like the 5 months, so there we have to just take the 5 by 12 years. Okay, so that means this 5 months we also have to convert into the years. So this is, you have to you have to be very cautious when you are just going to solve the questions of the calculation of the interest, or any question that is you are going to solve based on the formulas. Okay, so I hope this is understandable for everyone. Next question. Depreciation is provided on which kind of the asset? Whenever we're talking about the depreciation, it would always considered as an expenses for the company. Okay, so depreciation is always considered as an expense for the company. And if I say depreciation is provided on which kind of the asset, then the answer of this, that is a fixed asset. That should be your correct answer for this question, right? Next question. profit is equal to capital at the end plus and the question mark minus capital introduced minus capital in the beginning. Look, whenever you are going to get the questions that is just related to the capital, you always have to understand it always started like from here. Okay, so if I say the we are talking about the capital at the starting. Okay, so this is a capital starting. After that, whatever the capital we introduced, okay, so that we also just going to introduce here. After that, suppose that some drawings there are. Okay, so suppose that there are some drawings, so we will just write the drawings. And after that, suppose that we are just reach out to the capital at the end. Okay, now if I have to calculate the profit, then how I can just calculate the profit? Suppose that capital in the starting, like we started with the 10,000 for example. Okay, and we ending with the 5,000. That means what we understand by this, that it is a profit or the loss, then you will definitely say that is a loss. If I say that we started with the capital 10,000 and we ended with the 15,000, then what you will say? You will say the profit is equal to 5,000, right? So that is how you have to understand. Whenever we are talking about that, we have to calculate the profit. That means capital at the end, and there should be the minus, that is a capital at the starting. But these all are the factor that also may be added or subtracted from this. Okay, so now how to understand this? Whenever we talking about the capital at the, like how to reach at the capital, how to reach to the capital at the end. Now you can understand. Suppose that the capital starting, that is 10,000. After that, we introduce some another capital, that is suppose that 5,000, so it will just become the 15,000. Suppose there's some drawings we had done, like the some drawings the owner had done. Okay, so that should be the subtracted here. So now you can understand, if I have to calculate the profit, then profit is equal to capital at the end, that is given. Okay, plus, because this should be the minus here. Okay, so drawings should be the just minus here, and this is also just a minus. So minus minus plus, minus minus become the plus here. So drawings will be positive, and the minus capital introduced minus capital at the beginning or capital at the starting. Okay, so the correct answer of this, that should be the drawings. Okay, so this is how you have to do the questions in the examination also. I hope it is clear for everyone. Next question. Which of the following will not require adjustment in the cash book balance? So this kind of the question actually check your concept. Okay, so just remember that how to solve this kind of the questions in the examination. Whenever you will find this question like which of the following will not require adjustment in the cash book balance, so you have to understand in the chapter of the B bank reconciliation statement, the one statement that you prepare for the cash book, another you will prepare for the passbook or the bank statement. Okay, so suppose that will not require adjustment in the cash book balance. That means that balance, that is just you can understand. Suppose if you're talking about the check issued but not presented for the payment, that then it is just required the adjustment in the cash book or in the passbook, then you will say it is a required for the adjustment in the passbook balance. Okay, check deposited but not cleared. Okay, so in that case, that means customer actually deposited the check but it is not cleared. Okay, so that means here it is also, you can say that is the adjustment that have to be done in the cash book balance, right? Next question. Check wrongly credited by the bank. That means wrongly credited by the bank. So check wrongly credited by the bank, that is a, again you have to just required adjustment in the passbook balance, not the cash book balance. Okay, so the correct answer of that, all of the above will not require adjustment in the cash book balance. Suppose that if I just ask you that bank charges the 50 rupees, like bank charges the 50 rupees for the checkbook issuance. Okay, so now you can understand in this scenario, you can say that it is required adjustment in which kind of the balance, in which kind of the book, then you will say it is just required adjustment in the cash book balance. Okay, because you only have to understand what is the correct, right? If I say that a check deposited but not cleared, that means customer is correct in this situation. That means customer is actually deposited the check. Okay, but it is not cleared. Okay, but it is not cleared in this way, you can understand. Suppose that a check is actually deposited but the bank or the is just dishonored that. Okay, it is not cleared. right? So this is the way that you have to understand whenever we are talking about this would be adjustment, this would be required adjustment in which kind of the book, then you will say that all of the above will not require adjustment in the cash book balance. This is how you have to understand. Next question. Mr. A had allotted 10,000 shares to the application of the 14,000. It is a 14,000, not the 1,40,000. Okay, just skip that. So shares to the application of the 14,000 shares on a pro rata basis. The amount payable on the application was 2 rupees. Mr. B applied for the 420 shares and the number of the shares allotted and the amount carried forward for the adjustment against allotment money due from F will be what? Okay. So the number of the shares and the amount carried forward, instead of the F, just write here that is your from Mr. B. Okay. From Mr. B. So Mr. B applied for the 420 shares. The number of the shares allotted and the amount carried forward for adjustment against allotment money due from Mr. B will be what? Okay. Now just again understand. When we talk about the pro rata basis, then you can understand the Mr. A is actually allotted the 10,000 shares against the shares that he actually applied for the 14,000. So what is the ratio of that? Then you will say that is a ratio of the 5:7. That means for every 7 shares that is applied, the 5 shares is actually allotted. Okay. Now the question is Mr. B applied for the 420 shares. If I say the Mr. B is applied for the 420 shares, so that means 7 applied, and what amount he will get? This is a multiplication of the 60, and if I say that how many shares the Mr. B just get or allotted, that is 300 shares. Okay, so that means excess of the 120 shares, the money that is actually just received by the company. When we talk about the Mr. B is actually applied for the 420 shares but allotted only 300 shares. That means there is an excess of the 120 shares money that is received by the company. And now when we talk about the number of the shares allotted and the amount carried forward for the adjustment against allotment money due from Mr. B, then you will say the what the adjustment that company have to make for the 120 shares and what money the company get, that is application money, that is 2 rupees, and you will say that 240 rupees, like for 240 rupees of money company have to make the adjustment. Okay, so the correct answer that would be your last part, that is 300 shares that is actually allotted to the Mr. B and for the 240 rupees. Okay, so this should be your answer for this question. Next question. Returns of the goods by a customer should be debited to what, like which kind of the account? Okay, so returns of the good by a customer, suppose that I am talking about this is a buyer and this is a seller. Okay, and suppose that I am the seller and buyer actually return back some products, right? So this would consider as a return of the goods by a customer for me, and how I will record this transaction, that we have to understand. So returns of the good, that always understandable as for if I am just seller. Okay, and if any of the buyer return back the goods, right? So that is actually considered for me, that is a sales return. Okay, not just understand, whenever you will just confuse between that, the sales return account would be debited or the credited, just understand the very important thing or the trick to understand. Like just tell me here, when we talk about the sales, where we record, like on the debit side or on the credit side, then you will say sales we record on the credit side, right? Because sales generate the revenue or the income for the company, and the income or revenue we just understand, just keep under the nominal account category, and for the nominal account category debit all the expenses and credit all the income and gains. Okay, so sales would recorded under the debit side, and when we talk about the sales return, that is opposite of that. That means sales return account you have to be debited here. So sales return account, that is going to be debited, while the which account should be credited, that would be your customer account is going to be credited. That should be your correct answer. The returns of the goods by a customer should be debited to which account, that is sales return account, and which account is going to be credited, that is a customer account is going to be credited in this scenario. So this is a very important to understand. If I just ask you the very important thing, that purchase account where we have to recording the purchases, that on the debit side, right? That we record the purchases on the debit side. If I just ask you that where we have to record the purchase return, so what you will say, that purchase return we are going to record under the credit side of the, okay, so this should be recorded under the credit side. So this is you have to understand like this, the return always be opposite of the head account. Okay, next, what is the nature of the balance in the overdraft account in the cash book of the firm and the also the passbook of the firm? Just try to understand, and based on that you will definitely get the question in the examination. Whenever we talk about the cash book, okay, so this is the debit side and this is the credit side, right? So when we talk about the cash receipts, so cash receipts we are going to record under the debit side, while cash payments we are going to record under the credit side of the cash book. And the opposite of that, we always say that on the debit side we record all the cash payments, and on the credit side we record all the cash receipts of the passbook or the bank statement. Now when we talk about the in the overdraft case, like it is the overdraft account, so this is actually considered as a liability of the customer, and the same would considered as a liability for the customer. Now you will say that credit side of the cash book is actually considered as a liability side or the overdraft account, and the debit side of the passbook is considered as a overdraft account. So the correct answer, that would be your credit balance of the cash book. This will be not your answer. The correct answer, that is a credit balance in the cash book and the debit balance in the passbook, that actually just reflect the your overdraft account. Okay, so this is how you have to understand. Next question, which item shows a debit balance of a trial balance? Just tell me one thing, that on the debit side what we keep, on the debit side we keep assets, on the debit side we keep the expenses, on the debit side we keep the losses, right? Now just tell me, purchase return, okay, so when we talk about the purchase return where we have to record the purchase expense, what you will say, the purchase, like purchase we record on the debit side, right? And when we talk about the purchase return, you will say that is just going to record under the credit side, right? When we talk about the salary outstanding, you can understand it is a kind of the liability that company have to pay, right? So this is also just going to record under the credit side. When we talk about the sales always just represent on the credit side, right? Prepaid expenses, that is your asset for the company, and that is going to record it under the debit side of the trial balance. So the correct answer of this, that is a prepaid expenses, right? Next question, which of the following represents the amount of the time that it takes for the capital budgeting project to recover its initial cost? Okay, so when we talk about the, like, which of the following represents the amount of the time that it takes for the capital budgeting project to recover its initial cost, so what should be the answer? Just tell me quickly that what should be the answer of this here. When we talk about the very important thing, that the correct answer, that is your, like the maturity period, payback period, redemption period, investment period, what should be the answer? The correct answer, that is a payback period. Okay, so payback period actually represents the amount of the time that it takes for the capital budgeting project to recover its initial cost. Okay, so that is the payback period, right? So with the help of the annual cash inflow, suppose that we having the project of the 24,000 rupees, and we having the annual cash inflow, that is 3,000 rupees. So what would be the payback time period? So you will say that the time period to recover its initial cost, that would be your 7 years. So this is how you have to understand the question here. Next question. This is a very important question for you. Credit sales of any company that is given for the year, that is 12 lakh is given, and the debtors at the end of the year, that is given assuming 360 days in a year. So the average collection period, that will be, okay, average collection period. And you can understand the sales always there may be of two type, the one that is for the cash, another that is for the credit. And whenever we talking about the credit sales, there would always introduce a debtor there, okay, right? So debtors always introduce. Now you can understand the debtor at the end of the year, that is 2,40,000 rupees. Okay, so 2,40,000 rupees, that is a debtors amount against the sales, that is 12 lakh. Okay, and now if we assuming the 360 days in a year, so what would be your average collection period? So you will say this will become your 5, and 5 would be divided by your, so this would be your 72 days. That would be considered as an average collection period. The formula of that, that is a debtors divided by the credit sales. Okay, credit sales multiplied with the number of the days in a year, number of the days in a year. Now you can understand, because it is given the assumption for the 360 days, so that's why we are only considering here 360 for just easy calculation. So that's why the correct answer of this, that would be the 72 days. Okay, so that's all for this session. I hope you all just understood this session. Okay, so the another thing, that you can just enroll for the JIB 2022 complete ticket. Okay, that you are getting like the AFB, LRAB as well as a PPP book. So this is a very good compilation of all the, like all the summarized data you will find here, all the short notes you are going to get, as well as the mock test that is you are going to get in this e-kit. So that this is a very important, like this is a very beautiful compilation of all the content, right? So that you can enroll for that. Now you can also enroll for the video courses that is available in the bilingual as well as in the English medium courses, like the PPB, AB and LRAB. Okay, the thing that you have to do, the user code that is Y42, and you will get the flat 80% off for that. Now if I just talk about the test specs, because it gives a final test to your preparation, and from that you actually have to know that in which areas you still have to work on. Okay, so again you have to use a code that is Y422S, and with this code you will get the discount of the 17% over that. Okay, so test mock test is a very essential if you just aiming for clearing your examination. Okay, so thank you everyone for watching me here. If you're liking our effort, liking our content, do not forget to hit the like button and share this video to your friends and to your colleagues, so that maximum number of our bankers can join with us in these kind of the sessions. Okay, so thank you.